Okay, I'm going to explain to you in under 5 minutes how to know if a pilot check ride is unsatisfactory. Stand by. So let's start out with the three possible outcomes on a check. Number one, you're satisfactory, you passed, congratulations. Number two, you could get what's called a letter of discontinuance. That's not a disapproval. It's not unsatisfactory. It means you've been satisfactory up to a certain point, and then the check ride had to be discontinued. It could be discontinued because maybe either you or the examiner weren't feeling well, maybe there was a maintenance issue, or maybe some unforecast weather rolled in. Either way, either you or the examiner can be the one to make the call to discontinue the check. I would recommend if it's a maintenance issue or a weather issue, as soon as you become aware of those, that you're the one that makes the call to discontinue it. Because the examiner is still evaluating your aeronautical decision making and risk management. And they want to see that you're exercising PIC authority. So don't wait around for them to discontinue the flight. You make the call. A discontinuance is only good for 60 days. So if you don't complete the remainder of the check within those 60 days, well, you're going to have to start it over. If you haven't seen my video on inoperative items yet, go check that out too, because that'll give you some confidence in knowing when to discontinue for a maintenance item. Now, lastly, you could get what's called a disapproval or an unsatisfactory. None of us want to hear that, but it does happen. If you do get one of those, give yourself a little bit of credit because you were satisfactory up to a certain point, and one of the tasks was unsatisfactory. So you didn't fail the commercial or the private check ride, you just failed a specific task. Now, the examiner is not allowed to give any instruction, okay? So they're there evaluating your performance on the check. So if something is unsatisfactory, they need to tell you right then and there when it's unsatisfactory. They may ask if you want to continue the flight and check off some more items, and then after you land, you get the notice of disapproval and you come back at a later time after you've been retrained and finish that remaining unsatisfactory task. Now, the regulations say that the examiner is looking for overall mastery of the aircraft. They're looking for sound judgment calls in your aeronautical decision making, and they're looking for proficiency and competency in the maneuvers. Make sure you know what altitudes your maneuvers are starting at, because they want to know that you're competent and you understand the maneuver, not just demonstrating the proficiency in the practice in the maneuver. Now, if you haven't seen my video on how to pass any pilot check ride, check that one out as well, because that'll go in depth on the ACS. But we're going to talk about the ACS just for a minute. In the bottom pages of the ACS, there's a listing of typical areas of unsatisfactory. Number one is if the examiner essentially has to take control of the flight. That could be physically manipulating the controls because of an unsafe condition, or let's say you're out doing your maneuvers and you're getting relatively close to a Class B airspace and you're trending into it, and the examiner has to say, turn right to 090 because you were about to enter that Class B without clearance. They had to take control because of a safety concern, and so that could be grounds for unsatisfactory. Now, if they tell you to turn right to do another maneuver, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about safety concerns when they have to take controls. Now, the next thing in the ACS says that you have to effectively visually scan the area before and during a maneuver. You do your clearing turns, get your head outside, and scan the area visually. When you're doing a maneuver like a steep turn, don't keep your head inside staring at the instruments. You have to still effectively visually scan the area outside while you're doing the maneuver, because that could be grounds for an unsatisfactory. Now, like my video before, we talked about tolerances. You can exceed a tolerance, let's say steep turns plus or minus 100 feet. If you do exceed a tolerance, the ACS says you have to take a prompt corrective action to get yourself back within that plus or minus 100 feet. You should always strive for perfection, but know that you take a prompt corrective action to get back within, it's still satisfactory as long as you are not consistently exceeding tolerances. Now, lastly, the ACS says you have to exercise, or they're telling you failure to exercise risk management during any part of the check. So you have to be managing risks. If you're doing a mock cross country and you're going out there and the examiner tells you weather's rolling in, they're expecting you to manage the risk and do what you need to do to divert or what other decisions you need to make. The whole point of this is to give you more confidence going into your next check ride and give you the expectations of what the examiner has. I think by knowing what the expectations are for the examiner and what the check ride will actually look like are going to make you comfortable and give you the confidence going in. I'll see you next time.